Hey everyone, are you ready to work on those cute houses? Hey everyone, Cristin here, and we are continuing with our Falling for Autumn quilt. So yesterday we did, what did we do yesterday? Oh, the filler blocks. We did all those filler blocks and we dressed a few of them up. Some of us did. So I look forward to seeing yours if you haven't done them yet. So we have all of the filler blocks ready for section 2. We have all of section 1 done. Of course, we went over that yesterday. You should be good on that. So I thought we should start on those adorable houses today. So I'm thinking that I want to do 2 of them that I think will fit very easily in one hooping, and I'll show you how to do that. And then I'm also going to dress mine up a bit, so that's totally optional. But I did write, when I first received the project, I wrote lots of little notes of what about this, what about that, just little tidbits of ideas. So I'm going to do that, but again, totally optional. So let's go ahead and go over what we need for today. So the first house is the Golden Hour House. Golden Hour House. And that's the first one we're going to work on. That is on page 24 of our book. If you made your packets, grab your packet for the Golden Hour House. All right, and then the first thing that we need is our main fabric. And our main fabric, it's like a taupe colored of silky solid, plain silky solid, no design to it. And we're going to start with this at 6.5 by 8.5. Make sure to back your main fabrics with fusible stabilizer to ward off puckering and any problems. So 6.5 by 8.5 for our main fabric for the first house, the Golden Hour House. That's the yellow one. All right, and then we have our roof. So the roof is like a chocolate brown silky solid, no design to it, and this we're going to have at 4.5 by 2.5. 4.5 by 2.5. I did back my applique pieces with fusible stabilizer. That's optional. I find it makes it easier to cut. They lay down nicely, they quilt nicely. It's my preference, but it is not required. Just your main fabric is definitely highly recommended, but the applique piece is totally optional. So 4.5 by 2.5, that's for the roof. And then we have the house itself. So the house is a golden yellow silky solid, and that one we're going to have at 4 by 3.5. 4 by 3.5. And again, I did back mine with fusible stabilizer, but that's optional. 4 by 3.5. I have a little cold, so excuse my weird sounding voice. All right, so the next one is our window fabric. Our window fabric, it's a light blue, silky solid, very light blue. And that one we're going to have at 3 by 2. 3 by 2 for your windows fabric. And then the door is a white silky solid. And if you do back this with fusible stabilizer, just check to make sure that you're putting the right side down. The correct side, I should say. Correct side, because you do want it right side up. So the correct side when you're placing it down on your placement stitch, because it looks a lot like the fusible stabilizer. So so the door is going to be 2 by 2.5. 2 by 2.5, and like I said, it's a white cream silky solid. All right, for the door. Now there's also a clear vinyl window for the window, and it gets lost very easily. So I just want to point that out to you. Make sure to find it. The funny thing is look at where mine is. Can you even see it? It's still in my packet. It made its way to a little corner, and it's so easy to lose. Excuse me. So clear vinyl, don't lose it. Keep it with your other fabrics. What I do is I put my fabrics in and embellishments, and then I put my batting so that it's not off by itself. It's within the other items. That helps me to keep it not getting lost. So the vinyl, the clear vinyl, is going to be 3 by 2, and that's going to go over the window, and I'll show you how to do that when we get there. Whenever we have clear vinyl, that means that we have to be careful when we're ironing our block. So keep that in mind. Clear vinyl, 3 by 2 for the last item for this. All right. And then we are going to quilt this block. So whenever we quilt, we use our batting, and our batting, we're going to need to be 5 by 7 today. 5 by 7 for your batting for this Golden Hour House block. And we are going to quilt it using Weather 4 in a 4 by 6 horizontal design. Weather 4 in a 4x6 horizontal design. So it looks like wind, and then there's leaves too. That's going to be so cute. So it says to use like a gray. That's so hard to tell with those tiny little boxes. My guess is the warm gray 4s. Yeah, warm gray 4 is what I'm guessing that it suggests using for our quilting design, and that will work great. The other, you could consider using like a light blue since wind, but the gray will stand into that taupe fabric, that main fabric. So depending on whether you want it to stand out or not. So one of the things I'll tell you right now, there's quite a bit of room. Here, I'll show you this one so you don't see all of my notes. So look at all of this room here. They give us a placement stitch. It's not a placement stitch, I don't remember what it's called, but like a line that's for digitizing, just to keep it in place so that it doesn't, the house isn't floating. But look at all of this space. A cloud would be nice, huh? I might do a cloud too. I am thinking something else also here, and I'll show you some ideas. All right, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do, but I will give you some ideas, some suggestions. So there are special trim instructions. It says with the design centered horizontally and with the bottom of the house a 1/2 inch above the inner bottom edge of the ruler. So we'll check that, but I can tell you right now that since we're quilting, it's not going to matter. And that's why they give us that placement line. It's a placement line, and it's just for digitizing purposes, so that house will stay not centered with our quilting. It will go to fit so that the house is lowered down. I hope that makes sense. All right, so that's the first one. We'll talk about the second one in just a moment. All right, so if you have time for another block, we could do another of the really cute house blocks. This one I think is really cute. It's called the Chokecherry house. I like the colors of this one. I like this one. So this is on page 26 of our booklet, and I'll just quickly tell you the items that we need for this one. Don't forget there is going to be vinyl, so just don't lose it. Take it out of your package carefully. All right, so our main fabric is going to be that same. I think it's the same. Yep, it is. The taupe colored silky solid. So there's no design to it. It's just a taupe fabric. And this one, we're going to start with that 6.5 by 8.5 for our main fabric. 6.5 by 8.5. And make sure to back this with fusible stabilizer. All right. It's a pretty good sized piece of fabric. Definitely prone to puckering, especially with a lot of stitch count on it. So 6.5 by 8.5 for our main fabric. And then for the house itself, it is this really pretty wine color, like a burgundy maybe. Burgundy probably is a better description of it. It's a silky solid, and I'm going to start with this at 3.5 by 6.5. I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. Again, applique pieces, that's optional. 3.5 by 6.5 for the house itself. All right. And then we have the window. The window is that light blue silky solid. And that one we just need to be 2 by 2, 2 by 2 for the window. I did back mine with fusible stabilizer, totally optional. One thing is it'll help this darker fabric to not shine through. That's one thing. That's one other reason of why using the fusible stabilizer on the back. All right, so 2 by 2 for the window. And then for the door, it's going to be 2 by 3. Do 2 by 3, and it's a white cream silky solid. No design on it. 2 by 3 for the door. Sorry, my throat is giving out. All right, and then for the star, it is this like dusty rose mauve colored silky solid. And this one is for the star over the window, or like within the window. And it is going to be 2.5 by 2.5. I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. 2.5 by 2.5 for the star fabric. And then that vinyl, don't lose your vinyl. So the vinyl is going to be just 2 by 2, simple 2 by 2 for over the window. Excuse me, and I'll show you how to do that. No problems. Just keep in mind about the ironing, like I mentioned on the other house, that you have to be careful when you iron it whenever there's vinyl. You want to cover it with, I use a pillowcase. All right, and then we need our batting. So our batting again is going to be 5 by 7, just like the other house. 5 by 7 for your batting. All right, and then we are going to quilt this. And for this one, we are going to use Weather 4. I think that's what we just used on the other one. Yep, Weather 4. Also in a 4 by 6 horizontal design. So again, that wind with the leaves flowing. All right, and it suggests using a taupe color for that quilting. You can choose to use something else. A variegated blue I think would be really fun. Anyway, totally up to you. So on this one, I'm going to add something again. I just very simple for this one. I had some ideas on this one. So I'll show you when we get over to the machine of the ideas that I've come up with. And then I mentioned that it's got special trim instructions. This one doesn't, but the wreath that you see on the photo will be added later. So that wreath, we will add that as the last step, not during, like after our quilt top is all done, we will add the wreath because it's part of the embellishments. All right, so that's it. We have these 2 house blocks today. I'm going to bring you over to the machine, give you some ideas if you choose to add something to your blocks. Definitely not necessary at all. The quilts are absolutely stunningly beautiful as they are. If you want to personalize it, you absolutely can. All right, let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm at my computer now and I'm going to show you how to add 2 of the house blocks together in one hooping and possibly add some personalization to it if you choose. I'm getting over a cold, so hopefully I won't have any coughing fits, but please excuse me if I do because it happens. All right, so I'm going to open up Embellishment Essentials and it's opening to my 6 by 10 hoop. I don't believe that will work and I'll show you why. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that for now. So I'm going to go to merge stitch file here, and my dog is drinking water, excuse that sound. Falling for Autumn quilt and the bundle right there. So the bundle, and we're looking for Weather 4 right there. Embroidery files, block by block is the technique we're using. Pez is what I use for my machine, and then it will populate the designs. All right, and we are going to look for a 4 by 6 horizontal design. So I'm just going to scroll down here, 4 by 6 horizontal right there. 4 by 6, Weather 4 horizontal. Double click on that, it goes to the center. I'm going to move my embellishments over here so you can see a little better, hopefully. All right. So we actually need this design for both of our house blocks. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to go ahead, and I can see that there's all these blues and oranges that will join together, and I want to be able to do a color sort. So I'm going to go ahead and change them. So I'm going to click outside of the design to be able to click on the first one so that just one item is selected. So I'm on 1-1, default blue, click on the color. And the first color that comes up for me is dark aqua. I'm going to click on that and say OK. Excuse me. It doesn't matter what color you choose. That's just the first color that comes up for me, so that's the easiest. All right, and then 1-2, click on the color, same thing. The first one that comes up for me is Blaze. And this comes up for me because I have Filtech Glide as my preferred thread. Say OK. And then 1-3, click on the color, second color, because we already used dark aqua. I'm going to use marine now, whatever your second color is. And then 1-4, click on the color. Second one for me is Oriole. You can go through and choose all of your colors if you wanted, but it's just a waste of time in my opinion. So I just do the first and second colors that come up. All right, and then 1-5. These I do want to join because I want them to be the same on both of the house blocks. So I'm going to have this be the same as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make it so that it will do a color sort. So I'm clicking on 1-5, then click on the color, and the first color that comes up for me is Sprout, and say OK. All right, now I'm going to click outside because right now just the 5th item is selected. So I'm going to click outside the work area. All right, and then I'm going to click on the design. You can click here and get all 5 parts, or you can click down here and drag up. Either way will work fine. All right, and we need 2 of these. Excuse me. So I am going to you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change my hoop, that because I want to be able to see these straight. Eventually we'll need to rotate them, but I'm going to just click down here. So at the bottom here, where it says hoop 6x10, I'm going to click on that, double click on it, and look at what it did. It turned my hoop. So I like that. And now you can see why I was saying that I didn't think it would fit in a 6x10 hoop, because the actual design is 6.5. It's a 4.5 by 6.5, and my hoop is too small for that. So I'm going to change to 7x12. I think I'll do 8x12 just because that's what a lot of people have. Let me check the 7x12. And again, I'm going to click down here at the bottom on this hoop part, and you can see that I have plenty of room. I'm going to just go with my 7x12, a little less stabilizer. If you don't have a 7x12, an 8x12 will work the exact same way, so don't worry. All right, so I'm going to click on the design, and I'm going to use my arrow keys to move the design over to the very far left. Okay, so this way, because I turned my hoop sideways, it makes it so that I can see my house upright to be able to make any changes to it. It will make it easier for editing. All right, so that first one is done. While I have them all selected, and see I moved all the way over without going over the hoop. The yellow part is the hoop. And if you go over it, then it will be a problem, obviously, when you get to your machine. All right, so I have all 5 parts already selected. If you don't already have them selected, like I showed, you can click on the design, or you can click down from the bottom and drag up. So while I have them all selected, I'm going to say Control C to copy, and I'm going to say Control V like victory to paste. And you can see here in this objects window that now we have 2 designs. We have that first one and then the second one. It looks like there's only one because it's right on top of the other one. So I'm going to use my arrow keys and I'm going to move it over. And I'm going to go to the far right this time, just to give myself some space. All right, so those 2 are done. I'm going to go ahead and do a color sort. I'm not sure that the house, we have to import those houses, but I'm going to do a color sort now, because that's the part that I want to for them to join, so that when I'm cutting my batting and putting down my fabrics, all of that will be together. I don't want the houses to be together because they're not exactly the same steps. So I'm going to do a color sort now, and then I'll still have that first window. So I'm in Untitled 1 right now, and there's 10 different color steps. And so I'm going to go ahead and go to Utility, Color Sort. And remember, you have to have these same steps, these same settings that I have. The RHS pre-sort is not selected, force application, position, and material are not selected, and most importantly, tolerance is at 0. That's really important to be able to get the same settings that I'm getting. Excuse me. And it says that it's reduced it by 5 color changes, so that's perfect. So I'm going to click New View, so it'll open another tab. Here's that first tab we're on. It'll open another tab with everything down to 1 design. So I'm going to click New View. Notice that it turned my hoop around back to original, and that's fine. I can just double click on that hoop again, and then I'm going to quickly run through. And here's the batting, the placement stitch for our batting, tack down for batting, placement for main fabric, tack down for main fabric, and then the quilting design. So that's perfect. That worked out exactly as it should. Hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. I just had to respond to a text very quickly. All right, so we have our quilting design for both of the house blocks. Now we're going to bring in the house. And my guess is we'll need to do an align and distribute, but let's just check and see. The placement stitch might help us. All right, so I'm going to go here to Merge Stitch File, and I'm going to bring in that first house. I'm going to close up the quilting, go to Embroidery Files, Pez, the quilt itself, Falling for Autumn quilt, and then if I just click on that, it will populate the designs. And there is the Golden Hour house. That's the one that we want. I'm excited to do this truck. That is so cute. Although the houses are super cute. I'm very excited about the houses too. All right, double click on double click on that first house. All right, and then we're just going to move it over. I think that we can just use that placement line. Let's just see if we keep it right to the center. So these black dots will tell us that we've got our house centered this way, and then this placement line will keep it. So, oops, I didn't mean to move it up. All right, so I'm just using the arrow keys of my keyboard. That looks like it will be right because it's right in the middle, and you can see that we've got it centered between the placement guide. So this this inner line here, this outer one is the placement and tack down of the main fabric, but this inner one is the placement of our batting, and that's where I'm lining it up in. So the other option is that you can do an align and distribute, but I can see from the placement of the batting lines, the orange lines here, we can see that we're in the right spot, but we can check it also in a bit. All right, so I'm just going to leave those as is. You can see that we've got all those default blues and oranges because there's lots of applique pieces, and that's why I didn't want to do a color sort after we've brought the house in. All right, I'm going to click outside of the design, and you can also visually see that it is centered. I'm going to go to merge stitch file, and I'm going to bring in the next house. So I'm going to click back on that quilt, and this one was called Chokecherry, if I recall. Let's see. There's the pumpkin house. That's not it. There it is, Chokecherry house. Double click on that, it goes to the center. Now this one doesn't have a placement guide. So if I just keep it to using the arrows to be able to keep it lined up, let's see if I can get it right. Not really. I'm going to want to use my align and distribute. Oops. I'm going to get it as close as I think it should be, and then we can test it. But so I'm just visually centering it between these two sides here. It looks pretty good, but I'm going to want to make sure that it's right. All right, so those are done. So here's what I'm going to do to check it. Like I said, you can visually center it. I mean, you can see that this is going to be extremely close, but if you are wanting to be super perfection about it, there is an easy way to do that. It's not a problem. So if we go to this first one, you can see we've just got the quilting and they're separated. Once we've brought those two designs into one design, because see now the quilting design's all together, then you can't do that align and distribute. It won't work. So it has to be on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click down from the bottom, drag up to get just the house designs, not the quilting. And I'm going to say Control C, and I'm going to go to this first one, and I'm going to say Control V. It would have made more sense to just bring the houses into this first one, but like I said, I think I could just visualize it on this. So now we've got the 4 designs. I'm going to close these so you can see there's 4 designs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this first one, which is that first quilting design, and then I'm going to hit the control button on my keyboard and hit the number 3 house, the number 3 design, which is that first golden hour house. And from there, I've got the 2 designs, the first quilting and the first house. And I'm going to say Utility, Align and Distribute. And I'm going to say Center, Center, and Apply. It will probably move the entire thing. Let's just see what happens. It didn't even move. So that one was already lined up exactly right. So that's good. That just confirmed that we had it moved right. All right, so on this 4th one, the 4th house, I'm going to click on the second design, which is that quilting. Click on the control button and click on the 4th design, which is the second house. And again, I'm going to say Utility, Align and Distribute. And I'm going to say Center, Center. And notice, watch here and see if it moves at all, because I just eyeballed that one, so it might be off just a bit. Let's say Apply. And it moved the tiniest bit to the right. So that was good to be able to get it lined up right. All right, so that is good. So what we're going to do now, because we have those lined up, but remember I wanted 1 and 2 to be color sorted so that I am saving steps. So what I would do now is I would say click on number 3, click on number 4, the 2 houses, and say Control C, And then I'm going to go to Untitled 2, this next tab, the one that has the houses here, but I wasn't sure if those are lined up right. So I'm going to delete those houses by just hitting that delete button because they were already selected. Or you could just click on them over here and click delete. And then I'm going to say Control V like victory to paste them. And what that does is it puts them in exactly the right place that we did from that align and distribute. I hope that makes sense. All right. So now we know that our houses are lined up just right. I'm going to close these designs. So you can see we're in Untitled 2, the second tab. And this first one has both of our quilting designs, but they are joined together so that they will save a lot of time. And then we'll run through all of the golden house together, and then we'll run through all of the chokecherry house. All right, so those are separated. You are done now if you want to be done. You could send this to your machine and start stitching and you're all good. Or if you wanted, you could make some changes, and that would be completely optional, completely optional. So what I was picturing, is hard to see here because we have the quilting behind it, but you're not going to see the quilting because these are applique pieces on top. So this area right here, I thought looked a little bit empty. The other thing is up here, there's a lot of space. All right, so it's great the way it is, but if you wanted to add to it, there's things that you could choose to do. So keep in mind that we're going to have that wreath. I think it's on this one. Oh, it's on both of them. It's going to go around that window. So we'll have a wreath on there, and that will add to it as well. But if you wanted, you could personalize it, and there's some fun ideas on that. So let me just tell you some things that I thought of off the top of my head. So in mini, what are they called? So Cha Cha, that shop that I told you about before, they have a lot of mini designs. I found one that had 3 pumpkins that would fit in here really cute. That was a very cute design. And that's what I was leaning toward at first. But I'll show you what I ended up with. Let me see. All right, so if you open up a web browser and then go to Etsy and then click on or type in So Cha Cha. And here is the So Cha Cha. So it just brings up the several designs. The way that you can go to their shop is to click on any of them, or click, I think if we click down here, yeah, it clicks on the actual design. But right here, if you click on the name of the shop, it brings you to the shop. And I always like to see in here, in that title of the shop, it tells you if there are any coupon codes, and you can see they have a coupon code, Cha-Cha20, for 20% off your purchase of $10 or more. So keep that in mind when you're shopping, just in case you want to buy more designs for other things. You could look through your book and see, think ahead of things that you like. So I told you about these sunflowers before. I really like those. I think both of those are really cute. This is the pumpkins that I was telling you about, and I did buy that. And I put it there to see how it would look, and it's really cute. You do have to shrink it down just a tiny bit, but that's a very cute idea. A pie in one of the windows would be really cute, and this window for the golden house is bigger than the other windows. So if you were going to add something to a window, personally I would probably do it to this yellow house. I've decided not to, although maybe I will now that I'm thinking about it. But this mini pie is really cute. There's a lot of really cute designs, so you could look through here and see something that you like. Mini pie, cherry pie. So that's not a mini. So keep that in mind. The minis will start with the word mini, okay? And you'll need a mini for any of these add-ons. All right. So let me show you what I ended up deciding on. And again, the pumpkins would be super cute. If you need any ideas, just look through the So Cha Cha website and see what calls out to you. The thing that I'm leaning toward, if I go to Merge Stitch File and go to my desktop, and again, adding anything is totally optional, completely optional, but look at, there's a bicycle. You had to know. I was thinking, gee whiz, a bicycle standing right in front of a house. I think that would be super cute. So if I double click on that, I went to merge stitch file, and then I found the design file that I was looking for, and then double click on it. It goes to the center, and then you just bring it over to where you're thinking of, and you can see it's a little big. All of the ones that I tried were a little big and needed to be shrunk down a little bit, but to do that, all you do is click on one of the corners and drag it down. And Brilliance will stop when it thinks that it's going to distort the design. So to me, that's just so cute. I really like that. So I like that one, and that's why I was thinking not to put something in the window, but really you could have a pie in the window as well. And really I should show you how to do that, because if you are going to put something in the window, you have to do something a little different. So I'm going to show you how to do that in case you decide to add something under the window. All right, so let me show you here. If I go to File, New Page, and I'm going to bring in the pie. I'm going to change my hoop size, even though it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to this Preferences folder. I'm going to go to my 4x4 hoop. If I can find it right there, click OK. And then I like to click this H button in the compass so that it zooms in. So I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File, and I have to find where I have that pie design. Okay, so I had to re-download that pie real quick. Look at this. If you click on the pie, drag it over to the workspace, there it is. How easy is that? All right, so this pie, so all of this is like the steam coming off of the pie and a cute little heart. I don't want that part. I just want the pie, because otherwise it makes it bigger than I need it to be. But actually, let's see if well, they're all separated, so I can decide that after. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to Untitled 2 where I've got my designs here. I'm going to go ahead, you can import it in, or you can just click on it and say Control C or whatever works to Braille to bring it over. I'm going to say Control V just to have it go to the center, and you can see why I was thinking that that steam and everything would take away from the pie, because it makes it too big. All right, so if you just drag it over, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete those parts that I don't want. So I'm going to click outside so that nothing is selected, and then I've got the pie tin, the pie, and there's the steam. I don't want that. I'm going to click delete. That's the little parts on the pie. I want that. That's that cute little heart. That's too high and too big for this. So I'm going to click delete on that. All right, so then I have the pie. It's still too big, so I would have to drag it down a little bit to shrink it and make it whatever size you want. But notice right now it's sitting on the ledge of the window. It's not in the house. It's outside of the house. So however you want it, but I'm going to show you how to make it inside inside of the house. Sorry, I am a popular gal today. Getting messages like crazy. Let's see, golden hour house. So if I click on the golden hour house to open the different elements, let's see, is it this? All right, so what it is it has, this is the house, part of the house, and then, or part of the window, and then part of that other window, the window that's over the door. Those are together. So if you were going to add a pie or something inside of the house, I just want to show you, you would have to separate these two. And we've done this before. I'm going to quickly show you how. It's not difficult. In Brilliance Essentials, we would click this Stitch Simulator button right here. Click on that. And it's like a gray. We're going to have to find it in here. So if we go through, I'm just dragging it down so you can see it already did the window. So it's in this gray part here, or black or something. If I click there and I want to just go roughly when it gets to the part on the door, and I'm going to go ahead and go step by step. So you can see I dragged it over, and then it gets where it's too fast, so I can go stitch by stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and just back it up until it is just the window part without the door part. You'll see it jump. So see, it's back at the window. If I went one step further, then it's at the door. So I'm going to go back one, and I'm going to hit stop. And then it gives me an option to change the color for the future part, the next part that's on the house. So I'm just going to click like this evergreen. It doesn't matter what color, but you want it something different than what you already had. So I'm going to say okay.
All right, so now when you click on this, you can see we've got the window for the house and then the window for the door, and they're two separate items. All right, so then we can take this, and I am going to do it. Let's see if I add, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say Control C to copy it because it's just copying that window pane. And I'm going to just click, let's see, where do I want it? I want it after the pie. It could be before my bicycle. I'm going to go ahead and move my pie up. I'm going to move it up a lot. So I want it to be right after this house. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to right click on it. That's an easy way to do it, and say move earlier. It goes above the in front of the bicycle, and then move earlier again. And then it goes before that second house. So it's at the bottom of the house. So but then I also want this, right? I am going to have this be after here. And I'm pretty sure you can't drag it. But what I can do is I can say Control V because I copied it, remember? And then I can put it right after the pie. All right, so I can do it. I think you can move it. Let's see if I just move it. Or you can do that move earlier like I did earlier. That works as well. I'm going to do that. It's easier. Move earlier. All right. It brought both. Let's say undo. All right. So I want to just move this one, just the window. I'm going to move it up, move earlier, and move. We want it after the pie, so we want to leave it there. Now remember, I copied it so that it has both of those windows. I did it just in case so that while I was checking it. Excuse me. So we want to make sure to delete this first one because let me show you. If I click outside, we have the window pane on the outside, but we also want it on the, I want this one gone. Let me just show you. So if I click here, this is the one that's part of the house design. I'm going to click delete. And then I have just the window pane in front of the pie. So the pie is first, and then we've got the window pane so that it's showing that the pie is inside of the house sitting at the window, okay? So your option, you could have your pie be outside of the house on the ledge if you want it, or if you want it inside the house, then you just have to move that window pane, and I showed you how to do that. I just copied it, and then I brought it as its own design after I did the pie. That's how I did it, and that was easy. All right, so now just check the sizing of the elements that you added in. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit more. I shrunk my pie a little bit more. Maybe I'll even shrink my bicycle just a tiny bit. And I think that's all I can shrink it. Like I said, in Brilliance, we'll stop you and say, nope, nope, you're going to distort the design. All right, so that's great. That looks really good. I like that a lot. Maybe I will keep that pie in there. I hadn't originally planned on doing the pie, but I wanted to show you how to do something behind the window if you chose to. So think of some ideas. I mean, so that pie is a really fun one because you imagine like a kitchen right behind that window. A baking mixer, they have that in So Cha Cha. There's a sewing machine, a mini little sewing machine. There's lots of really cute ideas. So the other thing I was thinking is some clouds. I thought clouds would be fun in here. And the only clouds I found, let me show you. All right, so if you go to the So Cha Cha website and click in search bar, let me show you what I found. So the only cloud that they had here was this one that's attached to an airplane, which would be fine. I just showed you how to delete or to make it stop so that you can delete part of the design, but that would make this cloud very, very small. The other one is this, which actually I was leaning toward. I thought that was pretty cute, and we would have to delete all the other elements of it, but then you'd have these two clouds. And that would be really easy to do. So that's something to think about if you choose to add clouds on there. That's totally optional. And the only reason why I was thinking about it is because there's a lot of space here. There is really pretty quilting. If you use a different color than the thread, a different thread than the design, then you would see it better and it would stand out and it would be really cute. I might just leave that. So that's an option. So let's go ahead for now and jump to the Chokecherry house. So the Chokecherry house is absolutely adorable as it is. Super, super, super cute for sure. You could leave this and it will be really cute. There's going to be a little wreath on the door. So some other ideas though, if you wanted to add to it, you could put a sewing machine up here. There's a mini sewing machine from So Cha Cha. That would be like my upstairs craft room in my previous house that I loved so much. That would be really, really cute to have a little sewing machine up there. But it also would look a little busy because it's got this really pretty star here too. So you could definitely leave it alone or you could add to it, completely optional. It is a smaller window than this window, so you would have to shrink the design down quite a bit. So what I was leaning toward is a couple of sunflowers on the sides here because the house is burgundy. I thought a couple of sunflowers on the side would be really cute, and that's what I'm leaning toward doing. So let me show you how to do that if you chose to do something like that. I'm going to go, let's see, I have to open up my find my sunflower design. All right, so once you have found your design, you can do that merge stitch file button, or if you're already there, you could go ahead and just click it. So I'm going to open up the flower stem, find the Pez for my design, and I'm going to just drag it over. I didn't know that it did that until just recently, so that's a pretty easy feature. So I have to check the size because there are bigger ones. No, I think that actually will be very good. Anything larger than that and it's going to be too big. So that's really cute, don't you think? I love that actually. That's really, really cute and it fits really well. It's going to be on top of the other elements, on top of the applique. So that will stand out really well. And it's at the very end of all of the designs. I'm going to say Control C and Control V, and I'm going to have two of these, one on each side. Now I think, let's see, I've never done this, but I think I can even mirror it if I wanted. Let's try that. So there's a flip vertically button and a flip horizontally button. I'm going to click this flip horizontal. Look at that. How cute. All right, I'm going to click outside so that I can see it and make sure that I like that. I think that is really, really cute. That's very cute. You could even have the sunflowers turned the opposite way, but I'm thinking away from the satin stitching of the door would look good. All right, so I like that. That's very simple. That was super easy to do. It's going to stitch after everything else, so a little bit of personalization. I'm going to close up these design files so that we can see the things, the changes that we made. We did move that window, the window pane, so that's all good. Very good. Actually, I'm going to bring this bicycle up. So this bicycle at this point is set to stitch after the Chokecherry house, and that's kind of silly. I want it to be after the golden hour house. So I'm going to go ahead and move this up. I'm going to right click on it and say move earlier. Yep, that is very cute. I think I'm going to have the window pane be the last thing. It doesn't matter, actually. I'll leave it. All right, so that's all done. Again, you could do the clouds if you chose. I have to look at that overall picture. So if you look at the photo, it's hard to do. I'm doing it backwards. So from here, see all, here we go. See all this empty space here? If you wanted to add a couple of clouds or something, you could definitely do that. That would be easy to do. I'm going to show you how, just in case you choose to do that. So I'm going to make a purchase real quick. Hold on. All right, so I don't need this pie tab. I'm going to close that. I'm going to say File, New Page, and I'm going to open up that new, actually, I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to double click on that. It's like Best BFF, and I'm going to do a bigger one. So in most scenarios with these designs, since we're adding very small elements, you would have to use the smallest one and then probably shrink it down. But this Best Friend Forever design is 1.5 to 2.5 inches, but the cloud portion of it is even smaller. So I'm just going to do the 2 inch and we'll go from there and see what works. So I'm going to click on that, drag it over to this, this open tab, and I'm going to shrink this down. This is what I was saying as far as just all I want is the cloud. So I need to make some changes. I'm going to use that stitch simulator probably. Actually, look at, I don't even have to. I can go ahead and click on the first 5 parts that's got the rainbow and the BFF and click delete, and I have just the cloud. How easy was that? Very cool. All right, so I'm going to say File, Save Stitch File As, and I want to save it as saying just the cloud so that if I ever need another cloud, I've got it available. So I'm going to save it in the mini BFF folder, and I'm going to say 2-inch cloud only. That was super easy to do. All right, so then I'm going to click on it and say Control C to copy. I'm going to go back to my Untitled 2 tab that has all the changes that I made and say Control V like victory to paste it. And there I've got my cloud. So I can bring my cloud up here and I can rotate it a little bit if I choose, totally optional. All right, so there's a cloud. I could have another cloud over here. I could click Control V again because it's already pasted from before, and I could have another cloud over here. I could rotate it this way if I chose. Doesn't matter, whatever you feel like doing, right? You could even rotate it. I don't think there's really any need to do that, but so now I have a couple of clouds up there, and I still have the pretty quilting, so that's pretty cool. And it's just 2 extra elements. I'm going to put them at the bottom of this house so that I don't have to wait, because where it is right now, it's going to run through all of that first house and then run through the Chokecherry house and then go back to the cloud. So if I click, I'm going to click both of these, see if I can do both at the same time. That would be cool. And I'm going to say move earlier, and yep, they move together. That's nice. Move earlier, and I just want it in front of that Chokecherry house so that I can focus all of the yellow house and then start on the Chokecherry house and the sunflowers that I added in. So I added a lot of elements to this one that is of course completely optional. I think it's pretty cool because as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that's quite a bit of rim up on top of that yellow house, and right away started thinking of what could I put up there. You could do whatever you want, or you can leave it absolutely as is. Either way will be great. But I'm finding it fun to show you different ways of things that you can do with Embrilliance Essentials, and also adding things that speak to you if you choose, right? So pretty fun. I hadn't planned on adding that pie, but I wanted to show you how, just in case, and it's so cute. I'm going to keep it. All right, so this one is done. I'm going to go ahead, let's see, I'm on my 7x12 hoop. If I were to, I don't think I actually need to rotate it. If you did, that would be super easy to do. Of course, you would just double click on this hoop and then rotate both designs. Make sure that you've got them in the order that you want them. That will make it easier, and really it's going to do those clouds separately and my sunflower separately. You could shrink it down, as not shrink, but as far as the steps, you could choose to do that. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to just do my quilting all together, and then I'm going to do the first yellow house and then the burgundy house and leave it as is. So I think I can just leave this as is. I'm going to check that and make sure, and if not, then I'll tell you how to rotate it. Hold on. All right, so I'm going to save it like this for now and see if I can send it to my machine. So I'm going to say File, Save Stitch File As. Make sure to do As so that it creates a different file. All right, Save Stitch File As, and then it's going to ask you where you want to put it, and it's going to go to the last folder that you used, which for me was that the cloud folder. So I'm going to go back to my Falling for Autumn and embroidery files and the quilt, and then I am just going to name it the 2 houses. So yellow burgundy house is what I'm going to say. Whatever is going to help you to find it easily. I'm also going to, at the beginning of that, I'm going to say 7x12 so that I remember what hoop size I need. All right, and then I'm going to send it to my machine. Utility, send to Solaris. And it's sent to my machine, so I'm just going to open that up and see if it will open with my the hoop. Hold on one second. All right, and we're all good. That worked out perfectly. So it ended up turning it to the right, which I assumed it was going to go to the left, but it makes sense because the house, it's doing the yellow house first, which makes sense because that's the order that they're in. So that works perfectly. You don't have to rotate it back. And like I said, I started it with it, the hoop rotated so that I could keep the houses straight, so that for me to be able to move those design elements around, it makes it obviously easier than trying to turn. So that's all good. Let me know if you decide to add in some elements. I want to hear about it and what you thought of doing that, and how, if you changed some of the mini designs, like taking off that BFF part of the cloud, moving that window pane, how that's all working for you. I'm hoping you're learning lots and enjoying the process.
So how are you doing with your goal? I am feeling a little under the weather, but I'm still keeping up on my workouts. So I did a treadmill workout. They have a September badge with iFit that you can do 6 different workouts on the treadmill. There's also probably one for strength. I haven't looked yet. There's probably one for the bike as well. But for the treadmill, it's a running challenge, and I don't remember, it's called something sweaty challenge, something like that. So there's only 6 though, and I've already done 3 of them, so I'm pretty happy about that. So I think I'll do fine with getting this before the end of September. You have throughout the entire month to finish up that to be able to earn the digital badge. So where did we run yesterday? Oh, the one yesterday was New Jersey, and it was really pretty. This good guy running us around this New Jersey loop on this beautiful bridge. It was really a pretty run. So I enjoyed that. It was a longer one. It was called an endurance run. So I do a lot of what are they called, where you stop, the interval training, interval runs, and so you run and then you get to back off a little bit and then you run again. And this one was just an endurance run, so we ran for like 25 full minutes with not counting the warm up and the cool down. So that was a long time for me. I think I did stop it once or twice in between just to catch my breath, because it tells you when your heart rate gets too high and it wants you to stay within this range, and so it lowers the speed by itself, and I get frustrated because I want to go a little bit faster, and yet it doesn't want my heart rate up, so I instead just kind of slow down and walk a little bit, and because my heart rate comes down pretty quickly anyway, and then I can get back to running. So you got to do what works for you, right? But anyway, I am keeping up with my runs. I'm doing good with it, and my goal is weight loss. And oh, I didn't add up how much I lost again, so I'm down another 1/4 pound, I think it is, from my 1 pound loss during my trip, my vacation. So I am now 2.4 pounds from my overall goal. So I'm very happy about that. I'm loving the way my clothes are fitting. It feels really good to not be all bloated and uncomfortable. So that's good. I will say it's easier to not eat when your nose is stuffed up. So that's actually helping me. But anyway, so how are you doing with your goal? I want to hear about it. And my shirt today, this is a brand new one. I just made it before my trip. It's called Bringing the Sunshine. So this was a really fun one. It's from Designs by Juju. It's a pack that I purchased, like a vacation pack or something, maybe a summer pack. And the sun was supposed to be an applique, and I actually made this not at my house. And so I didn't have my applique fabrics, all these fabrics behind you, all of my collection. I didn't have that, and so I just left off the applique, and it still came out pretty great. So you can always do it your own way, right? You know, I like to say that, do it your way, do what works for you. So I will add information under this video of the pack that I bought from Designs by Juju. There were a few cute designs in there, so I was excited to finally make myself a shirt before we left on vacation. So I'll share the information. And by the way, the shirt is from Amazon, and it's a V-neck, but it still worked out really well for placing a design on it, and it fits really good. I really like this one. I think I'll be buying more of them. So actually, if you're interested in a V-neck shirt, it's like a slight V, I guess I should say. It's barely a V, but anyway, another shirt to be able to embroider on, I will add a link here of where I purchased it from Amazon, and I'm going to beat you to it and get a couple myself, because I really like this one. I like the way that it fits.